Hey everyone, Rounder here, and today's video is going to be just two regular tables. So I found a couple 50 no limit regular tables on Ignition, and we're just going to try to talk through some of the hands, get some interesting spots, and see how that goes. This is going to replace what would normally be, I think, a study session, just because the hands are not available for download yet for me to load into Poker Snowy and do a little bit of review. All right, so obviously we have a open-ended straight draw and the second nut flush draw. So this is a very strong hand. It's also a very polarized board, and we want to force our opponent to call with some pretty weak hands in general in this spot if we are betting. So I'll just bet $1, like a 25% bet, probably be fine. He actually raises here. That's perfectly fine. We're not worried about anything. We are in pretty good shape unless he has the ace of hearts and another heart. Then I'm really not worried about anything. So he is going pretty aggressive here. If he has a flush, then we're in trouble. Now, the question to raise or call here is a pretty good one, except that we have the heart. So if he is going to like jam all in, it's obviously not a great card, but we're not folding here ever, I don't think, because we've got a very strong hand. Now, I don't think there's value in raising in this spot. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Let's not worry about his play too much. I don't know what to think of that. But I think most of the analysis was pretty good. Now, if I click this right now, do I get the right hand? I do. Okay. So, I think our play was okay. The fact that he had the ace of hearts was obviously going to be pretty troubling if we did hit the flush. But that's less likely when he's holding the ace of hearts as well. And yeah, overall, I think we played that fine. Raising the turn, he would have called, but I think that calling was correct just because we did have the heart. For all the reasons I said, I actually think that was a pretty reasonable analysis as we went through the hand. And like I said, you can't fold there, even though the board paired. There's no room for folding in a spot like that, I don't think. So we are playing 50 no limit today. There weren't really any 25 NL tables going, and I do have plenty of cash on Ignition right now to afford playing a slightly higher level, and I'm playing regular speed tables, which I do feel the level of play is weaker at. That's my personal belief. This is a 3x open. We are deep with this guy, and we've got ace-2 suited. We're going to call. That is a great board to check fold on. Just have nothing going. Pocket queens, even versus an under the gun raise. I used to play this a little more passively, but we're not gonna really do that anymore. We need to have a raising range, and if we're not raising with pocket queens, we really can't afford to have a raising range. I'm still just gonna check down. We do have ace high here. So queen 10-6 is not completely dry. There's two high cards. Oh, he actually leads out at us. I mean, we're in position. I guess if he is ever bluffing here, then just let him. I mean, I know that there are, he could have a draw here, but I mean, he bet pretty big. I don't think he's ever folding a draw if he has it. So I guess 8-9 got there. Hopefully he didn't call with 8-9, but if he did, he's got the ace-7. So he does pick up the 2 pair on the river, but that will not be enough. So far, so good. Again, it's it's actually almost noon here on the East Coast, so kind of interesting, but I am seeing some relatively weak play overall. The tables look pretty weak overall. I am also standing up because I was looking at the video. I left it on there. I was curious to see if anyone would comment on it, but I was kind of slouched over in my chair the whole time and just didn't look. There's a lot of dead money in here, so why not? I didn't look particularly engaged or alert, and I didn't like that. So I decided to go ahead and stand up for this session. I'll probably, again, just do the same thing approximately. Play for, this is a gut shot. We do have a gut shot plus a backdoor flush draw, but we're out of position. This guy's already betting, and I think we're just going to give up. We got a really good price pre-flop, but I don't think it's worth it to continue on that board on the left. Yeah, like I was saying, I didn't really like how unfocused I looked. So I have already finished my coffee for the day. I did have my 750 milliliters of bulletproof coffee, and so now I'm just drinking some water. Another side note: since I got back from my vacation, since my drive, I have not had an energy drink. Now that's only been, I got back Sunday and it's Wednesday, so it's only been 3 days, but there were a couple opportunities where I really felt like going and getting one. And I even walked down to the store at one point, walked over to the case that held the energy drinks, looked at them, and then walked home. I was like, you know what? No, I don't think they're the worst thing in the world. I know they're not good for you, but I'm trying to be really conservative with my money right now, and energy drinks probably just don't make the cut. I did upload earlier today. I uploaded a vlog, a video blog, and I'm going to try to start doing those more often. I think that maybe, I'm not sure about this, but I think possibly in a perfect full-time poker YouTube content creation career, if that's what I end up doing or am able to pull off, I actually think that based on the length of some of the content that I do and the fact that it doesn't take a lot of like post-production editing, I almost think that 3 videos a day could be interesting. Now, maybe not every day, and maybe not at all. Maybe it'd be like 2 videos a day and then like a video blog update once a week or something. But I do like the idea of having a plethora of content coming out constantly. Obviously, that sounds good, but a session review, so like a study session, a real, session for people who like to get into the weeds, who are really trying to improve their game, to watch, and then something like this where it's just a live play where I'm talking through hands and thought process for people who are a little more casual or just play live once in a while or have a Friday night poker game that they go to, something along those lines, and everyone else also. And then a video log that talks about things from results to life stuff to all of those other sort of extraneous things that are going on, that I think, again, if I follow the path that I'm on, which is doing mostly this full time, could be really interesting. It could be really interesting to see the sort of progression of somebody going from these sort of low stakes and kind of just barely getting by to being potentially very successful with poker. We'll see. So I think my HUD shows up, right? I'm pretty sure that my HUD does show up on the videos. And for anyone that doesn't know what my stats are, I should probably create something to put on the video. There's like some free space in these videos because they're not 16 by 9 resolution. So what I will do is try to go into Word or something and mock up something that actually gives like what these stats are. But you should be able to kind of tell. It's obviously hands, VPIP, pre-flop raise. What's going on here? Oh, we've got people leaving. Second row is limp stats. That's the L. So we have pre-flop limp and then fold to pre-flop limp fold. So you would never have that on America's Card Room, but on Bovada, I think it's kind of interesting to see if somebody's like limp folding 100% or limp calling 100%. Those are good pieces of information to have. This guy checked here, so let's just kind of... And we actually turned some more equity in a couple different ways, so we are going to continue betting. And now we have, you know, again, this is really just betting our hand, but we are going to bet large here because we have a draw, but we do have a lot of equity. So if we hit our draw, we want to be able to get a, you know, big bet. Where he like snap calls that turn bet, I'm not looking to make a huge bluff. It sucks to just give up on this pot, but I mean, Jack high should be like the bottom of our range actually. So let's just go ahead and bet. I think we're gonna get looked up most of the time here. So he did river 2 pair. That does not help, obviously. Now I don't think he would have necessarily folded an ace, but that's a close one. We'll go ahead and let's make a little note because that's a good hand to review. That was the ace 4, so we'll just review that. Make sure that I like to just mark those so that we can be sure to look at those in Poker Snowy and see what Poker Snowy says about them. So 4, 5, 6, 7. I got a 4 card straight. We are out of position here, and we do have a little bit of showdown value, so let's not go crazy trying to bluff this guy again. And obviously a check down would be ideal because, oh, okay, he outkicked us. Brutal. So I will probably continue to rotate through the format that I use, whether it's zone poker, 2 tables of regular, 4 tables of regular. I've got a couple other ideas. One that I've done is making it available to skip to key hands. Another idea somebody gave me was just playing a session for 30 minutes or an hour, putting some music on in the background, and then voicing over any interesting hands that happened and putting that video out. I'm not sure that that is something that people would really like, because 2 reasons come to mind quickly. One is that a lot of people, I think, probably more or less listen to these videos while doing something else, maybe either in the car or almost listen to it as if it's a podcast, which is why I try to be pretty descriptive. I'm not always perfect about that, but I should probably work on that to make sure that this content is useful for people who are doing that. For example, sort of narrating what is happening in the hand while I'm playing. Anyway, the second reason is that so one is that it would not be like almost even useful for some people if they're mostly listening to the video. And then 2, I obviously think some people are not going to either want to like click on annotations to go to the hands, or aren't going to want to watch me, just playing hands with no commentary in general. Not sure if those are really different enough reasons, but again, let me know what you guys think. I did get a lot of or some pretty good feedback on my last video, so keep the feedback coming, guys. I really appreciate knowing what you guys are looking for and what kind of content you enjoy. Also, just don't forget to make sure you hit the like button on the videos. That helps them rank. Subscribe to the channel. Just filling empty airtime right now. I guess we could talk about the hands that are happening on the table. That would probably be the more productive thing to do and most beneficial to our win rate, right? Like, that's a real thing. So we had top pair, middle pair. That looked like a relatively small hand, though. This guy had the pair of tens. Yeah, I mean, I think the pair of tens can fold once. Weren't two other people in the pot already? I don't want to replay the whole hand, but maybe not. Either way, I think at three-handed, you can probably just fold second pair with no kicker. I've also gone ahead and I'm going to start setting some goals for how many hours of poker I play each week. I don't know if I'm going to set a goal for studying because, well, especially if I'm making videos, I feel like it is a little bit of studying, but I'll probably, I'll probably set a goal for how long I study as well. We're in position here. We don't need to put any more money in the pot. We get to see a flop in position, heads up with a good hand. I don't think we need to do anything crazy with that. Not a very strong hand here, and if we are going to bet this flop, we could bet this with some pretty weak hands, and we could bet small, but we need to have almost all value hands in a spot like that when we're betting. We rivered a pretty nice draw, and you know, I think we get looked up by ace high here. I don't think that, maybe queen high folds, but again, we're gonna have to put in $1 to try and win $1 and then hope that he is checking down queen high and then folding. It just, probably close. It's probably close, right? It's something that we can look at later, and it's not insignificant. I don't want to make it sound like, oh, it's $1, who cares? $1 a hand is massive, right? That's 4 big blinds per 100. That it's a 4 big blind per difference in win rate if we take that pot down. So it is not in any way insignificant, but I do think it's probably close and not worth racking my brain over mid-session. All right, so this was a limped pot, meaning nobody really has like an uncapped range here, right? Like most people, like there's no uncapped ranges, and it's a pretty drawy board. And if we are betting, we probably have like draws and strong hands. So I'm gonna bet out and bet kind of big in on the right-hand side. I'll probably just continue betting big here. So we'll just go pot, and then I always just click it down so it's just under pot because I just think it looks a little less threatening. I think, you know, the correct bet, Poker Snowy is probably going to, you know, say, if I'm reading the situation correct, Poker Snowy will say that a full pot bet is correct. However, again, I default to a little bit of psychology in the fact that if we hit the pot button, we're actually over betting what's in the pot due to rake. You know, small difference, but when somebody just mashes the pot button, I can tell, and they're over betting the pot, I tend to give them a lot more credit. Right, wrong, or indifferent. That's my thought. So again, we opened, right? We raised, or did we limp? What the heck happened pre-flop? Why do I not know? That's bad. But we're just going to bet small because we have a weak hand, but we want to force... our opponents are going to have a lot of medium and weak hands in their range, like Queen Jack and, you know, Queen 10, maybe even like some King 7 suited, right? Those are the hands. I'm naming hands only that we actually beat. There are probably more hands than that to consider, but in general, just looking at that board and the ranges, again, not even remembering correctly probably what the pre-flop action was. Now we can actually see what the pre-flop action is. I don't know if this guy's bored because of me. So limp. Okay, so we just completed there. That's fine. Again, we've got, you know, no really uncapped ranges. So I actually think that get out of the way. That analysis is correct. That they've got like a lot of medium strength weak hands, and we should bet small, maybe even smaller. Maybe that should have been like a 1/3, like a 50 cent bet on that board to try and maybe force like a pair of like an under pair, right? Like a third pocket pair to feel obligated to call. And if we're betting a third pot and getting folds there, then that's also good, right? They're potentially folding hands that need to be called and making a mistake. Whereas if we kind of just go out and make a normal large bet, all of those medium weak hands are correct to fold, most likely. Isolating here, we've got a limp with pocket kings. We have the 7-4-7 board. Obviously, no real need to bet big here. We want to encourage calls with a wide range. $1.25 into 5 seems fine. And we got a fold there. So again, you know, that small bet is going to get folds. An ace on the turn would have been pretty terrible, which is what the rabbit card was. So kind of nice that they folded. All right, there's no real action. We do have a hand on table 2 going on that looks like maybe it'll get large because there's straights and full houses possible, but it doesn't. And since we have a second of downtime, we're about 21 minutes in to the video, and we can kind of just take stock in our current situation on the tables, which is a little bit bad. So table 1, the left-hand table here, we're averaging, 28 VPIP and 14 pre-flop raise. That's pretty passive, but 28, 29, anything under 30 isn't ignition poker great, but I keep wanting to say Bovada, but isn't great as far as. So here's a good one. Like this guy is he's limping, so we'll see, is he limp folding, is he limp calling? We don't have any stats on him yet on player 3 on the right table, but he limps in the cutoff. We're going to isolate with ace-9 offsuit and see how he reacts. And he is limping 57%. He's never folding. Does that mean that we, I don't know what the sample is here, but does that mean that we want to raise with ace-9 or limp with ace-9 or fold? I think it just means we want to raise. Because he's limping weak hands and calling most of the time, so we're going to often have a better hand. The queen on the turn, and he checks again, so let's just go ahead and bet half pot. This is the guy that looked up our bluff last time, so not really looking forward to bluffing him again. And we do have ace high this time, so let's just check back. And yeah, he's getting a little bit lucky against us, so that's fine. I do like his check on the turn, though. That was probably a pretty good play to get a bet out of me. So, although he is playing 46-0 so far, it's, his post-flop play might not be terrible. I mean, I'm sure it is if we looked at a large sample, just because 46-0 pre-flop can't... highly unlikely to be even over 14 hands, right? Even over 14 hands, I mean, he's open limping in the cutoff. There's really no software, no theory that I've seen that suggests that is best. So again, even bad players who have done any studying on poker know that you should probably be raising pre-flop. So when you see somebody limp, you know that they're really just not a serious poker player, or they, again, very likely that they're not that serious. So anyway, I was mentioning about the tables. They're not terrible, right? The fact that the pre-flop raise is half of the voluntarily put money in pot on both tables, that's good. But it would be nice if these guys were a little bit looser. I'm not going to change tables because I have a little bit of hand sample on some of these guys that we can use, which is nice. And I'm probably just going to make a 30-minute video, so we got 6 minutes left, and it would take too long to switch tables and everything. But I might consider looking for a better table. I mean, If the VPIP is up around 30%, that's pretty darn good. If it got down below 25, maybe that would be a good cutoff point to go find another table. And it also matters, not just the averages, but the actual players, right? So can you identify that there's a fish? Can you identify, is everybody playing kind of, 29-13? That's not very good. But if a few people are playing tight and you've got a 63-25, a 40-0, and then a couple like 0-0 and really tight guys making the average come down, well, that's probably a pretty good table. You've got a couple good fish there. And if we look at these tables, on table 1, we've got a 38-8, that's a fish. We've got a 25-25, that's a reg. A 36-12 is a fish. An 8-8 is like a nit. So that's like, we don't really have to worry about them. We're not going to make a lot of money off of them, but they're bringing the average down significantly. And then we got this guy that's a 32-32, which is like kind of an aggro fish most likely. Although, 34 hands, he's probably a little bit of an aggro fish. He's on our left, which is not great. But looking at the players and the tables and everything, I think that there's plenty of money to be made at these tables. Also, the fish on table 2, the 40-0, is directly to our right, and we kind of know how he plays a little bit now, right? We know that he is passive, not surprising. His stats suggest that as well. We know that he will call down with top pair, I guess, right? Like, which is correct, but he's not folding to bets with bad hands. And so far, we've seen that if he is calling, he probably has some sort of hand that he's going to call again with. I understand, right? We've only seen 2 showdown hands, but you can draw some conclusions by the way you see somebody play. If somebody's real passive, they're not really raising, and you see them call down with top pair a couple times, you sort of have an idea of what's going on. So how do we maximize our win against player 3? Well, we can continue bluffing. That's actually, right? Like, we saw him call down twice with actual hands, and we haven't seen him fold. So we should probably bluff him with a standard range of hands. I don't think we should change that significantly. That might not be correct, but I don't want to think deeply about it right now. There may be something that we need to do there based on what we've seen, but I'm not sure exactly what it would be. So we know that we're not making a huge mistake by betting a balanced range. And then once he calls, we simply continue with the value side of our range and give up with our bluffs. And if we learn more information based on that, then we adjust slightly. But we don't want to make big adjustments, right? We want to adjust very slightly. So again, we're not going to all of a sudden start doing anything crazy. We just want to slightly adjust our strategy based on what we've seen and based on the assumptions that we can sort of make on a player like this, and my intuition of poker and poker players, which I have a fair amount of because I've played a lot. And yeah, that's how we go about taking our optimal strategy, our GTO strategy, and shifting it into real world situations. I feel out of breath. That's weird. Like, I'm not sure why, if it's because I'm standing or because I'm talking a lot or what, but I feel almost like a little bit out of breath. I feel like I'm a little bit more in frame when I stand as well. That's probably a bit better. I also don't know, the webcam, I don't know if people care about seeing the webcam or not. I know on Twitch that's a big thing because it's live. I don't really know if people care too much about it on videos. We're going to bet. This might be like 100% bet board. I don't know the sizing though. I don't think it's small. And like half pot's like really just not all that frequently used. Let's go ahead and bet. This could be a check back. We're gonna have to review that hand. I think that the only reason I'm tempted to bet there so much is because we have a unique situation where, like, we would expect our opponent to call a fair amount with like an 8, and we expect our opponent to have 2 face cards a fair amount of the time as well. And so we can kind of do that thing where we accomplish 2 goals of folding out hands that have a lot of equity against us, i.e. like the king queen, things like that. This is almost always a full pot bet. The king queens and stuff on this ace high board that can turn the winning hand against us, as well as sometimes get calls from the worse hands. So that's why I do like betting there with 9s. That being said, does not make it correct, and therefore we will review. If we were out of position, if roles were reversed, and I don't remember exactly the pre-flop action of that hand, but if roles were reversed, I would probably not continuation bet the 9s, right? We have to just check a lot more out of position. And that's something, the more and more work I do in poker, the more I see that you are often checking, 60% plus out of position, even as the uncapped range, which makes the hand a lot more difficult to play, right? Like, there's no doubt that just betting out makes hands easier to play, but that doesn't make it correct. And we're trying to play the best poker we can. All right, we're up to 31 minutes. I feel like this has been a pretty great session as far as spots to discuss, hands that are, we've had some pretty big hands. This guy's all in here on the river. So what do we think that is, right? We assume that this is like a big hand. I mean, he's overbetting the pot. He's passive. We've never seen him raise. Like, no reason to think that this guy doesn't have a straight. I'd like to see this guy call so that we can confirm that, but maybe he wants to show it too. But I would be very surprised if he had worse than a set there. All right, king queen suited against a kind of aggressive player who's never been 3-bet. Let's go ahead and see what he did. Why is that so big? Oh, because I know why, because we're playing 50 no limit, not 25 no limit. So we'll go ahead and 3-bet. I don't know how aggressive our stats are. I should probably put my stats up just so I have an idea of what players are expecting from us. But I do think this has been a good session. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm pretty happy with my play overall, as well as my thought process. I thought it was pretty clear in most of the spots. Again, I will start doing reviews of these sessions in Poker Snowy, but they're going to be a couple days later. So I guess theoretically I could record these and put them out the same day I do the review, and I would put out maybe the video in the morning, or the review of the one before in the morning, the day before in the morning. Or I could put them out on the same day. Probably doesn't matter too much. I guess for people just sort of discovering the channel or something, it might be more interesting for those to be out on the same day. And then, they find this new Ignition Zone poker game, and then I have a link like, hey, here's the session review where I review this video, and they go up on the same day. So maybe I will try to start doing that. 45 hands, this guy's never 3-bet, player 2 on the left-hand table. Right? I mean, like, king queen is probably a call. I don't know if I can pull it up quick enough. I don't have Flopzilla open, so I don't know if I can bring up my ranges quick enough to check. Let's see. Verse, call 3-bets. Button versus, what am I, button versus small blind? Button versus small blind. King queen offsuit's a fold or a 4-bet. I don't know. 4-bet? 4-bet ranges? I'm not going to 4-bet. I'm just going to fold. But button versus small blind. No, it's just a fold, according to Snowy. So that was correct. All right, this video is getting a little long. So this is going to be, I'm going to put up 2 videos today. And I'm not promising 2 videos a day, Monday through Friday, but as of today, there's 2 videos going out. I already put one out on what I cook for lunch. Maybe tomorrow I'll show you guys me making my gigantic coffee. That was an idea. I was like thinking about that this morning, about making a video about my gigantic coffee that I make every day. This is another limped pot, obviously, because I have queen 6 offsuit. Same thing, right? Because of the draws out there, this could be a bigger bet, but I did bet half pot versus like 1/4 pot. So it's not terrible. And we are going to continue betting small. So I like to do half pot, and then I know that divided by 2 is 0.75. So we'll just keep betting small here. And we know that this guy likely has a hand. And now that the 9 pairs, that's bad for us. So we're going to go ahead and check back. Again, he has the better hand. So our read is now more solidified. I don't know if that would have changed anything I did in that hand. We had top pair and we lost a pretty small pot. So that's good. And now, our read of this guy's pretty clear. So I'm probably going to stay on these tables and keep playing for a while because I've got a guy with $100 to my right who I have a pretty strong read on. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Looking forward to your comments. Like, subscribe, and all that other good stuff. Use my links, and I will see you all tomorrow. Thanks.